In this video, I'm reviewing my magazine collection, and I believe that I'm up to part 37. So yes, I do have a lot of games. I'm going to take a look at 5 more magazine games that I have, starting with Strategy and Tactics number 275, Konigratz, Austria versus Prussia. And this basically is a game of the Battle of Konigratz in, I think it was 1866. This game was designed by Chris Pirillo, and I first became familiar with him as a designer back with XTR and Command Magazine. But this game uses a fairly tested system called the Musket and Saber system. This is associated with Decision Games right now in the Folio series, particularly with Napoleonic and American Civil War battles. So this basically is a battle using that system. I did play this game. I think I wrote an article on it for my blog. It was okay, it was an okay game, but it wasn't exceptional. I put it comparable to any of the other games using the Musket and Saber system. So your mileage may vary with that. But that's in S&T number 275. I mean, beautiful components. The map is wonderful. But the game is so-so. The next one that I have to look at is S&T number 66. This is an oldie from the SPI era of Strategy and Tactics. The Siege of Constantinople, the end of the Middle Ages, 1453 AD. Now, this is a game designed by Richard Berg. I tend to like most of his games, and I always find enjoyment, even though they are often flawed. I find a lot of brilliance in these games. This one is interesting because it tackles this siege in an interesting way. It has a series of bombardments turns where you're trying to, crack down on the wall. Then you have you get to call when you want the assault phase as the Ottomans, and then there's a series of assault phases that you will go through to try to pour as many troops into those walls as you can. And some of the interesting details that this game puts in is the potential for the Ottomans to tunnel underneath the wall. So you secretly map out your tunneling. Now, I played this solitaire, but the way I play, it was pretty easy for me to forget exactly what I was doing with the tunnels. And these tunnels can collapse and things like that. And maybe one, if you're lucky, can get all the way through and get underneath the wall. And you can start pouring in through, the sewers. The other thing that it has in the game that's interesting is basically the Byzantines can repair the wall. So they can try to make repairs as best they can. So all in all, it's a very interesting game, and there's not a whole lot on the Siege of Constantinople. So I'm glad I got this in my collection. I'm sure I wrote an article about this quite a few years ago for my blog. So maybe it'll make an appearance on my channel sometime. The next game that I have to look at is Pacific Battles Malaya. So Pacific Battles is a game series that came out in World at War magazine, designed by Joe Miranda. There are 4 games in this series. The Malaya, but you have Namenhan, you have Guadalcanal, I think, and Shanghai. And I've played Namenhan and Guadalcanal, I think, but I have not played Shanghai yet, and I have not played Malaya yet. The game system is interesting. It produces some random event type things through the use of chits, but a lot of these are around, tactics and things like that, rather than outside events. So, it's okay. The series was fun. I haven't played this game, but I suspect it will be like the other ones, and it will be, fun, maybe not historical, but typical of the current Joe Miranda type games. The next one is S&T 161. This is from the Decision Games early era, and this is a game on Alexander's generals, the successors, after he fell. Um, and this game was designed by two brothers, maybe. I don't know, the Grabers. I don't know how they're related. They have the same last name, Gary Graber and Neil Graber. Um, anyway, it uses an area movement map, and it has it's a very strategic level. Look at this. There's combat, of course, in areas, but there's taxing and fleet management, random events, and they're basically generic type leaders in this game. So there are other games in this system. I believe it's called the Successors system, and it had 30 Years War was done using this system, and Byzantium was done using a spin-off of this. I played this. It's an okay game. It is a little bit bland, but I enjoyed it back in the day. Came out in 93, so I played this back in the 90s, and I'm sure I have some pictures of my playthrough somewhere. And now the last game I'm going to look at is S&T 104, 13 Colonies in Revolt, 1775 to 1781, I think, is what is covered. So it's the Revolutionary War, designed by Richard Berg. So it's an okay design, you know. I think it is as good as any of the other games like 1776 in this era. This was in the TSR period of Strategy and Tactics magazine, so the map is kind of garish, and that's just the way they did things. It didn't bother me when I played it, so it's a Richard Berg game, so I had to have it. Anyway, that is part 37 in my magazine game collection. Maybe you've played some of these games. If you have, leave a comment below in this video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.